They told you to fake it till you make it, but what if that's the worst advice you'll ever get? You were told to act as if you already knew, as if you already had it together. To pretend confidence when you felt lost. To project certainty when you were uncertain. This is not wisdom. This is a lie disguised as motivation. B-roll, a person standing at a crossroads, looking down a path they don't yet understand. There is a difference between pretending and becoming. One is an illusion. The other is a transformation. You cannot become something by pretending you are it. You can only become it by living it. B-roll, a seedling pushing through soil, slowly but steadily growing. I once believed in the myth of faking it. I thought that if I acted like I had it all figured out, eventually I would. I wore masks, spoke with authority, and convinced others I was certain. But the more I faked, the more I felt like a fraud. B-roll, a mirror reflecting a person who is not quite sure of themselves. The problem with faking it is that it creates a gap between who you are and who you pretend to be. That gap grows over time. It becomes a weight. It becomes a burden. It becomes a prison. B-roll, a storm approaching a calm sea, waves rising but the ocean remains still. What I learned later was that true confidence doesn't come from pretending. It comes from knowing yourself. From understanding your limits. From embracing your imperfections. From being honest with yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. B-roll, a mountain climber looking down at the base of the mountain, then up at the peak. I stopped pretending. I stopped trying to be someone I wasn't. I began to ask questions instead of pretending to know the answers. I allowed myself to be vulnerable. I allowed myself to be unsure. And in that space, something changed. B-roll, a person walking barefoot on a beach, feeling the sand beneath their feet. You don't need to fake it. You need to be it. Not in a grand way, not in a dramatic way. Just in the small, quiet moments. When you choose to show up, even when you're not ready. When you speak your truth, even when it feels raw. When you take one step forward, even when you're not sure where you're going. B-roll, a tree swaying gently in the wind, its branches moving with grace. The real work isn't in pretending. It's in showing up. In being present. In choosing to act, even when you're afraid. Because that is how you become. Not by faking, but by doing. B-roll, a river flowing steadily, carving a path through stone. Faking it is like trying to build a house without a foundation. It may look solid for a while, but eventually, it will collapse under its own weight. Becoming is like building a house with patience and care. It takes time. It takes effort. But it stands. B-roll, a craftsman shaping wood with a chisel, carefully and deliberately. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to be present. To be honest. To be willing to grow. To be willing to learn. To be willing to fail. Because failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. B-roll, a person sitting quietly in a garden, watching the sun rise. The world will always tell you to fake it. It will tell you to smile through pain. To act confident when you feel insecure. To move forward when you're stuck. But this is not strength. This is not courage. This is survival. B-roll, a lighthouse standing tall against the dark sea. True strength is in knowing when to stop faking and start becoming. It is in the quiet moments when you choose to be real. When you choose to be honest. When you choose to be yourself. B-roll, a child learning to ride a bike, wobbling but determined. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be certain. You just need to be here. Right now. In this moment. With your feet on the ground and your heart open. Be a role, a person walking through a forest, stepping carefully. On the path is not always clear. The way is not always easy. But you don't need to fake your way through it. You just need to walk it. Slowly. Mindfully. With intention. Be a role, a person holding a cup of tea, sipping it slowly, eyes closed in contentment. You are not a performance. You are not a product. You are not a role to play. You are a human being, with a soul, with a story, with a purpose. And that purpose is not found in pretending. It is found in being. Be a role, a candle burning steadily, its flame flickering but unwavering, so stop faking it. Stop pretending. Stop trying to be someone else. Be yourself. Even when it's hard. Even when it's uncomfortable. Because that is where true power lives. Be a role, a person standing alone on a cliff, looking out at the horizon. You don't need to fake it. You need to be it. Not in a loud way. Not in a flashy way. Just in a quiet, steady way. The way that builds something real. The way that lasts. Be a role, a person gazing at the stars, peaceful and still. If any of these ideas resonated, I've linked the books in the description. They told you to fake it till you make it. But what if that's the worst advice you'll ever get?